Welcome back to 5 Minute Fantasy Football, presented to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Join millions and play Underdog this weekend. Every weekend, we're picking the higher on the Jameis Winston interception and the higher on the Derrick Henry touchdown. Those are building blocks for your pick'em slates, and use promo code FFSGPN so they know we sent you. Let's talk about my Week 15 rankings. If you're listening to this, congrats, you made the playoffs. Hopefully some of your teams got the bye week, but if you're listening, you probably didn't get the bye in at least every one of your leagues. So let's look first at who are the toughest opponents the last 4 weeks per position. At quarterback, the Buffalo Bills, the Giants, the Ravens, the Lions, and the Cardinals. And remember, sometimes this is part of the game script. One of the concerns about Lamar Jackson is how much does he have to do against the Giants? We'd love to see Lamar Jackson and go and have a vintage 50 burger. But if he's up 30 at halftime or 25 zip at halftime, are they really going to pass the ball a lot, ask Lamar Jackson to do a whole lot, or are they just going to run Derrick Henry down the Giants' throat when they can't stop the run? Buffalo Bills, Ravens, Lions, Cardinals have been the toughest against quarterbacks. The running back position, the Lions, the Buccaneers, the Texans, the Chiefs, and the Jets. The Lions have been getting up early on a lot of people, and it's been really taking the running game out of it. Unfortunately for the other teams, it's been hard to pass against them as well. They've been a really, really good team on all three phases the last few weeks. Again, running backs, it's tough against the Lions, the Buccaneers, the Texans, the Chiefs, and the Jets in that order. Wide receivers, the Ravens. The Ravens have been really, really good against wide receivers, and that's the opposite of what we've seen the rest of the season. But the Ravens, the Seahawks, the Giants, the Colts, and the Eagles. And tight ends, toughest have been the 49ers, the Falcons, the Lions, the Bills, and the Chargers. And you've heard a lot of the same names. So if you have someone playing against the Bills, the Ravens, the Lions, the Eagles, you probably want to not start them. Obviously, some of your must starts are going to have to be in there, but those flex guys, those fringe guys, I'm avoiding. So let's look at the opposite side of things. Who are the easiest matchups? Over the last 4 weeks, the quarterback position has been the best against the Patriots, the Rams minus Brock Purdy, the Falcons, the Bengals, and the Jets. The running backs, the Colts have allowed the most points, then the Giants, the Jags, the Bears, and the Bengals. Wide receiver, the Falcons have been allowing the most points. They get the Raiders this week. I think I'm not going to go too crazy, but I think Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers, even though they got Desmond Ridder, they should have a decent week. The Broncos, they've been giving up a lot of points. I know they were, pretty good the first half of the year. It's been tough, and Riley Moss has been out of the lineup, and everyone's got the white corner jokes. He's pretty good, and they've not been as good since. A little bit of regression, a little bit of tougher opponents, but the Broncos are 31st, a better matchup than what you'll see on your sleeper or ESPN. They used the whole season, and so it'll say that they're the 22nd or 32nd best. I'm looking at the last 4 weeks. I want to know what the trend is. The Vikings, the Texans, and Raiders. The Browns against the tight end position, Travis Kelce should eat. Since JOK got knocked out by Derrick Henry, the Browns defense has been bad, and they have some issues in the secondary with some injuries. Dolphins, Bengals, Raiders, Panthers against tight ends. Browns, Dolphins, Bengals, Raiders, Panthers. Kicker, Ravens, Jets, Bengals, Raiders, and Cardinals are teams you want to play them against. And Falcons have been terrible. Kirk Cousins has been a turnover machine, and they've been a great team to play against. I'm not going to go with the Raiders. I'm not that bold. The Giants, obviously, if the Ravens are available, you're going to start them. The Titans, you want to start them against Will Levis. The Cardinals, and then, of course, you want to start anyone. If you have the Chiefs defense against the Browns, get prepared. That could be a huge, huge week. So let's look at my rankings. And then, again, if you're on Reddit or anywhere, you can find us on SGPN Fantasy Football. Send me your questions at Dynasty Dorks on X, as well as at SGPN Fantasy. My number one quarterback this week is Josh Allen, then Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray. Sam Darnold has been hot. He's crushed the Bears a few weeks ago. That offense is rolling with TJ Hawkinson back in the lineup, and I think Sam Darnold's going to have a big week. Even considered him a little bit higher, but he's at 8. Justin Herbert at 9. Tua at 10. Patrick Mahomes at 11. Bo Nix at 12. Jordan Love at 13. CJ Stroud 14. Jared Goff 15. Anthony Richardson 16. Jameis at 17. Matthew Stafford at 18. Wish I had Purdy at 19, but Baker Mayfield at 19. Geno Smith at 20. Let's look at the running back position. We still got some news. We don't know what's going to happen officially, but Ken Walker is doubtful, and Breece Hall, they're saying he's expected to play. I know that really throws a wrench into things. Hopefully you guys started Isaac Guerrero the other day. I know that a lot of people didn't, and he played pretty well. Derrick Henry is my number 1 this week. Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Joe Mixon, Devon Achane. I love Chuba Hubbard against Dallas. I think Chuba and Rico Dowdle have good weeks. Jahmyr Gibbs at 7, Josh Jacobs at 8. ECR is a little bit lower. Josh Jacobs has been on fire the second half of the year, and so I'm really liking that matchup. James Conner at 9, Brian Robinson Jr. at 10, Rico Dowdle, I mentioned earlier, at 11, Chase Brown at 12, Aaron Jones at 13, Kyron Williams at 14, Zach Charbonnet at 15. I'm not expecting Ken Walker to play. Alvin Kamara, he's going to be very interesting. Kamara has not been as good when Derek Carr is out of the lineup, and Derek Carr's out of the lineup. He gets Washington. It's a decent matchup. Marshawn Lattimore is going to make his first start, which will be interesting. But I think this is start Washington defense. I think you have to start Kamara, but I'm just lowering expectations. It's just going to be very tough to see that offense move the ball a lot and sustain drives. He, hopefully can get, 10 targets. Tony Pollard, love him this week. Cincinnati has been awful. Anyone can run against them, even the Tennessee Titans. And I think Tony Pollard's going to have a good week. Dave Montgomery, James Cook, Rashad White, Jonathan Taylor, Isaac Guerrero, Ramondre Stevenson, Isaiah Pacheco at 24. Again, Breece Hall sounds like he's going to play, and I think that means that you probably sit Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. Bucky Irving, I don't think he's going to play either. I got him at 26 just in case, but I would say that, it's very unlikely he plays due to the practice reports and everything that's going on with him. Sincere McCormick at 27, Najee Harris 28, DeAndre Swift at 29, and Tank Bigsby at 30. I like McCormick this week. I know that, we saw Atlanta. I got a lot of heat for my Aaron Jones ranking last week, and turned out pretty well. As far as the wide receiver position, I should not have ranked Cooper Kupp, period. But Jamar Chase at 1, Puka Nacua at 2, Justin Jefferson 3, Nico Collins at 4, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 5, Drake London at 6, T. Higgins at 7, Mike Evans at 8, A.J. Brown at 9. I think he gets a squeaky wheel game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tyreek Hill at 10, CeeDee Lamb at 11, Cortland Sutton at 12. Let's ignore my Cooper Kupp at 13. Jawan Jennings at 14. Yeah, let's ignore that too. Terry McLaurin. That's going to be a fun matchup. I love Jaden Daniels this week. Love Terry McLaurin. I think this is going to be a great matchup against New Orleans. And I think Terry and Jaden Daniels could send some people to the next round of the playoffs. Devontae Adams at 16. Him and Garrett Wilson, they're very much splitting this. And so it's hard to take them above some of these other guys like Terry McLaurin, who have everything to themselves, when Terry McLaurin is the clear-cut number 1 with a bunch of guys, and then Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson are 2 alphas. You'd think Aaron Rodgers would be a little bit better of a play, but he's been turning the ball over, has 0 rushing ability, and doesn't have a whole lot of touchdown upside because the offense has just been meh. Malik Neighbors at 17. He's just been like a possession receiver. Pretty much book him down for 7 catches and 55 yards. It's going to be ugly. They're moving back to Tommy DeVito. And a lot of this is probably going to be in garbage time, but those points, they count the same. Brian Thomas Jr. at 18. He's been QB proof. If you can buy Brian Thomas Jr., you still have trades available in your fantasy football playoffs. Buy Brian Thomas Jr. This guy is an absolute stud. Jackson Smith and Jigba at 19. Jerry Jeudy is NBA Jams rule apply. This guy is on fire. I don't care if it's the Chiefs. They got some injuries. Jeudy is playing. He's not getting a huge target volume, but he's just super efficient with what he's doing. And he's been scoring touchdowns, been making big plays, and you got to stay in the Flames. DK Metcalf at 21, Garrett Wilson at 22, Ladd McConkey 23, Jordan Mason. Speaking of the Flames, He crushed it a few weeks ago. The Bears did everything they could to get Justin Jefferson under wraps, and Jordan Addison ran wild. Could happen again. 3 touchdowns last week. I don't think you see 3 touchdowns, but I think you see a nice game from him. Ridley at 25, DJ Moore 26, Khalil Shakir at 27, Jacoby Myers 28, Zay Flowers 29. And I should have not ranked Debo even in the top 30. He stinks. Darnell Mooney at 31, Marvin Harrison Jr. at 32. Let's look at the tight end position. We're going to go backwards. Stone Smart. Yeah, I said it. Stone Smart at 15. Pat Freiermuth at 14. Kate Otten at 13. Hunter Henry at 12. Zach Ertz at 11. Mark Andrews at 10. Tucker Kraft at 9. David Njoku, he's at 8. I really need him to play this week. I got him going in 2 leagues. Hopefully he plays. Sam Laporta, T.J. Hawkinson, Jonnu Smith at 5. Travis Kelce at 4. Trey McBride at 3. George Kittle at 2. And Brock Bowers at the 1 spot. My number 1 DST this week is the Baltimore Ravens. Minnesota Vikings at 2, Denver Broncos at 3, Philadelphia Eagles at 4, Kansas City Chiefs at 5, Cincinnati Bengals at 6. Tennessee is just too good of a matchup, even though the Bengals allow a lot of stuff on they allow a lot of stuff in regards to the running game. I think you could see some plays in the back end. I think they'll be very familiar with this offense, and I think you see some turnovers out of Will Levis. You have Arizona Cardinals at 7, Washington Commanders at 8, New York Jets at 9, Atlanta Falcons at 10. That's a sneaky matchup. Falcons aren't the best defense, but the Las Vegas Raiders and Desmond Ridder, I think you can see some action there. Los Angeles Chargers at 11, Carolina Panthers at 12. And the last, we're going to go with our kickers. Kickers matter. Here are my top 12 kickers before we get out of here. Jake Bates, Kami Fairbairn, Will Reichert, Cameron Dicker, Younghoe Koo, Will Lutz, Tyler Bass, Brandon Aubrey, Justin Tucker, Jake Moody, Harrison Bucker, and Jason Sanders. All right, this has been 5 Minute Fantasy Football. As always, good luck this season.